I don't mind responding to trolls occasionally. You see, the thing about people that devalue others is that's always a sign of intellectual deficiency. You know, what they're doing is they have an inability to follow and understand people because of fear, because their mind is literally just an interpretive device for assessing their own identity and safety and security around people. And so their subjective grandiosity, their entitled victimhood, this is the only basis through which they exist. And so people that are trolls are people that have profound cognitive and intellectual as well as creative impairments due to fear. And so their inability to listen to people causes their need to devalue those people to protect themselves from confronting the obviousness of their own ignorance and lack of intellectual prowess. And so when someone like me shares ideas, it just conjures inferiority, that's all. You see, the thing that you'll notice about devaluation is devaluation has to do with trying to chop the tree down, rather than recognizing that you find somebody in the language, that if you cannot follow my 1-minute video and need to devalue me, it demonstrates that you aren't even able to listen to it. So rather than addressing your own cognitive impairments as you listen to a reactionary voice in your mind that you believe is a cognitive process of intellectualism, when it's not. You know, if you wouldn't be so angry, so upset, so inflamed, if you had access to the type of imagination required to understand somebody like me. So given you can't understand, you try to devalue, because you can't even understand the genesis of knowledge. You know, what do you have? Nothing. No contribution, no creativity, nothing. So it makes sense why you'd be so upset. But have you noticed that when you join your conspiracy theory groups, you don't see a lot of heavy-hitting intellectuals that have all learned what they need to learn about the shape of the earth from a YouTube video? So you don't even have the math skills to even assert anything. And so your subjective entitlement to devalue people simply reflects a pathological presentation that is at the source of your ongoing struggles to have normalized, healthy relationships. And as you walk around in perpetual judgment and avoidance of the fear of your own inability to assimilate, your own ability to relate, your own inability to connect, you simply self-identify yourself as just a nothingness. If the only thing you have to contribute to me is something that would just compel me to click block on you, that's a pretty big difference between us. You know, I'm writing books and you're barely able to write a comment, you know, and so we're not very similar, you and I. You know, you're over there stewing in your own hatred. Like, your own projections are what's reflected. You know, that your own emotional states that are conjured as you attempt to listen to me simply reflect the architecture of your inability to interpret anything around you fruitfully, or coordinate or cooperate, or even be impacted by knowledge and wisdom. So you've segregated yourself through devaluation from the very information that could enable you to really understand your world. And so as you clamor to maintain the thought process of a child and defy reality with every utterance of ignorance that you conjure and conspire, trying to merely affect someone else emotionally becomes the context through which you live your life. The exact opposite, relegating yourself to useless, parasitic, and defiling yourself to just continue to accumulate the shame that has come to define your reality. So as you hate on people, as you devalue people, the very shame that's at the basis of your need to do that accumulates. And some of you just become sadistic, robotic NPCs in a world that you'll never understand, in a world that you clamor to your own subjective entitled victimhood and trying to act like you have intelligence because you've mastered the art of nonsensical word salad. Word salad, that's what you got for me? Word salad. And so Your inability to follow my videos, your inability to articulate a single point, your inability to counter the knowledge with something else indicates that you're not even able to pay attention, that you're daydreaming in your own little reactionary hell and unable to even develop yourself past the point of a stress reaction. That's it. And so a walking stress reaction in the human form is the modern troll. That's all. Somebody hiding from reality, hiding from the mirror, devaluing other people in a pervasive entitlement to try to affect the emotions of other people who they feel victimized by simply by listening to your video. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, I promise I'm working on it. You know, defining your disorders is something that I wish to contribute to the general field of mental health. Why? Because while you're hating on me, I've conceptualized a cure for you. That's right. Yeah. Like in my book, I'm going to articulate not just the pathological basis of narcissistic personality disorder, but the neurological basis, which then brings into existence the science of neurotransmitters and the formation of these disorders found within the architecture of the neurons themselves. And so, well, if we could develop a medication that turns off the sympathetic nervous system, you would then have a profound increase in your intelligence, as well as your creative capacity and your ability to imagine the world around you, as opposed to listening to the reactionary hell of your own mind dement you and turn you into nothing but a narcissistic troll that does nothing but devalue yourself by being the way that you are. That your shameful behaviors, you know, characterize your own experience that you feel entitled to project onto someone else. And so if you can't handle watching YouTube without vomiting your own experience of yourself onto someone else in a total state of denial and deflection, you know, maybe just take a break, you know, relax, you know, do something other than echoing conspiracy theories in groups and, you know, like cutting off your own ability to learn. I mean, holy moly. I mean, trying to turn the universe into baby food just so you can digest it. Maybe it's time to grow an adult stomach. And when you grow an adult stomach, maybe you can stomach the mirror and stop looking at people like me and trying to project yourself as if you're somehow smart, as if you somehow have some kind of answers. If you had some kind of answers, I wouldn't be the one smiling and you're the one stewing. I don't go to your YouTube channel. I don't go to watch what you have to say because you don't have anything to say at all. You can barely form sentences that are coherent in the comments. You can barely even articulate a valid point. That you try to devalue people to skirt the intellectual liability of your own ignorance. That you expose the fact that you are deficient on multiple frontiers of your own cognitive abilities. From an emotional standpoint, you're screwed. From an intellectual standpoint, you haven't developed at all. And in terms of your contribution to the rest of the world, I would not probably put that at a net positive. Because if this is the best that you got, trolling, you put yourself at the lowest echelon of human existence. A pathology that is so complete that you can't even listen to reality when it's schooling you like the preschooler you are.